A combative Trump responded, "Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, 'Hello, how are you?'" He asked Scott if she was with ABC, saying the network was a fake news network and a terrible network. "I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Sen. Tim Scott of South Carolina," the former president said. "I've done so much, and, I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them. I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. It's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that," Trump said. Scott asked if Trump found it acceptable that some Republicans on Capitol Hill have referred to Harris as a DEI hire, using the acronym for diversity, equity, and inclusion. "I really don't know. Could be, he said. Harris' husband, second gentleman Doug Emhoff, said Wednesday that Trump's remarks in Chicago reflected a worse version of an already horrible person. "The insults, the BS, it's horrible, it's terrible, it shows a lack of character, but it's a distraction," Emhoff said at a campaign fundraiser in Maine. According to the Washington Post, it's about what's at stake in this election. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre issued a fiery rejoinder to Trump following his remarks at the convention, calling them repulsive and insulting. "As a person of color, as a black woman, who is in this position that is standing before you at this podium, behind this lectern, what he just said, what she just read out to me, is repulsive. It's insulting, and, no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify," Jean-Pierre told reporters during a news briefing Wednesday. "That is no one's right. It is someone's own decision." Harris' campaign did not specifically respond to Trump's comment about her racial identity, but said the former president lobbed personal attacks and insults at black journalists the same way he did throughout his presidency. "Donald Trump has already proven he cannot unite America, so he attempts to divide us," Harris' campaign spokesman Michael Tyler said in a statement. In Chicago on Wednesday, Trump also repeatedly criticized the NABJ for the event setup, which he said made it difficult to hear other panelists and delayed the start of the event. A spokesperson for NABJ told CNN that technology issues had delayed the start of the panel discussion. Trump in his remarks called himself the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln, a comment that drew audible groans from the journalists in attendance. He ignored a follow-up question about whether he was better than Lyndon B. Johnson, who signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 into law. "I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln," he said. "For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, I think it's a disgrace. I really do. I think it's a disgrace." Capitol rioters asked by Scott Wednesday if he would pardon January 6 rioters who violently attacked police officers at the U.S. Capitol in 2021. Trump said, "Absolutely, I would. If they're innocent, I would pardon them," he said. Scott responded that they had been convicted. "Well, they were convicted by a very tough system," Trump said. The former president criticized Capitol police officers for shooting and killing rioter Ashley Babbitt, who was attempting to crawl through a broken window leading to the Speaker's lobby outside the U.S. House chamber. And he complained that nothing happened to those who caused property damage during Black Lives Matter protests in the summer of 2020. "Nothing happens to those people, but you went after the J6 people with a vengeance," Trump said. Vance-picked Trump did not answer directly when asked by Fox News' Faulkner whether his running mate, Ohio Sen. J.D. Vance, would be ready on day one to be president. "Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact," Trump said. "You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion," he said, pointing to Harris' consideration of a running mate, "and then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. You can have a vice president who's outstanding in every way, and I think JD is. But you're not voting that way. You're voting for the president," Trump said.